but it is 9:03, so we are going to get rocking and rolling with the mastermind. So to honor those that showed up, we got some megas on the call today too, so this will be an exciting mastermind. You guys, welcome to our very first mastery model. So the network has decided that we really want to create these opportunities to focus on real-time tactics at different levels of production. This will be our mastery models mastermind that will be once a month, and we will choose a topic. So just to kind of lay it out there so you guys know what to expect. On the first Thursday of the month, we do our Momentum Mastermind. That's the $0 to $2.5 million production conversation. Second Thursday of the month, we do our 2.5 to 7 million. Please know that these masterminds are open to anybody and everybody to join, but the level of conversation is going to be focused at helping agents at that production level. So we are going to launch into it. Each one of these masterminds will start with an interview with a master on the specific topic that we have, and then we will be talking about mindset, best practices, and then we will be opening up for a general mastermind, questions, conversations, etc. How masterminds work is it is best if you are on the call that you have your camera on, right? This just isn't a class where we're talking at you. The purpose of masterminds is to collaborate together. That works better when we get to relate and communicate with you as real live humans on the mastermind call. So if you are able and dressed appropriately, please turn your camera on. If not dressed appropriately, please keep it off. All right, are we ready to start, Stephen?
Yep, I'm ready.
Awesome. Well, I am so excited about today's call. The topic that you guys hear over and over and over is listings, 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 listings. So today's call is specifically about that, making that transition from you guys know how to write transactions, you know how to get things in escrow, you know how to get things to the closing table, and you know how to service clients. But what we find is a lot of times when people are launching and growing their businesses, they are largely buyers focused. And at some point in their career, they get to a point where they want to make a change or to end that listing, or they're afraid to make a change to that listing focused business. So that is the direction of our conversation today. I would like to welcome to the call our guest for today, Mr. Stephen Malfa. Who I have had the privilege and honor to know for, gosh, over a decade now. I don't know how far back we go. I've got to watch him grow in his own real estate career. He started as a buyer's agent, in fact, one buyer's agent of the year for our Keller Williams offices, and has performed at mastery level, has since launched into a solo career, and has consistently over the last couple of years hit that sweet spot of going from 100% buyer's agent representation to a consistent 50% of his business is now coming from listings. So no better person to talk to about what that transition looks like. Let's start with mindset, Stephen. You started as that buyer's agent. How has your mindset changed over time as you've grown into your business to really drive that listing focus?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, right? So all day, every day, you get in that habit of consistency around what do I have to do to find the next buyer opportunity, right? And you have to really change the way you're thinking and change your activities to say, what do I have to go do to find that next buy, sell, or invest, right? It was kind of all encompassing when I had first started. And the issue that I had was buyers kept showing up, right? And, so it really got around to, okay, something's not working here. I want to create that MREA business, right? Leads, listing, leverage. And so, a lot of the activities, a lot of the scripting that I did, a lot of the masterminds that I did was trying to surround myself with other people that were, really high level listing agents, right? And get away from the pure buyer-based conversations that I was having with everyone else in the market center. And, again, it's who you surround yourself with. That is how you're going to really improve and hold yourself to higher standards, right? So that was a big one. And then just really changing the conversations that I was actually having with, potential clients, right? And changing what my activities were during my lead generation blocks.
I love that. And we're going to get into some of those tactical things for those of you guys who are going like, give me the steps. We are going to get there. So Stephen, I want to go a little deeper into that, right? Is we often hear top agents or coaches or speakers say that the only true way to control our business is to take listings. How do you feel about that concept, about that coaching, about using listings to control your business, your time, and your income?
Well, this market makes it more obvious than ever before, right? So how many of you out there are, kind of running thin, right? Going out, showing multiple homes, writing multiple offers, getting rejected time and time again. And how much time does that take up, right? We have some amazing people that we're in business with, Chris Suarez, Ben Kinney. And one thing that they say often, which I love, is what is your dollar per hour, right? And so, when you get into the mindset of a business owner and somebody that wants to grow a very large business, as we have read in the MREA book, is how can we be more efficient? So, the big one is, what's my dollar per hour as I'm working with buyers in this really tough competitive market? It's probably pretty low, maybe the lowest that we've seen in a long time, right? And that brings in all sorts of additional stress and worry and, how am I going to get my next paycheck, right? And if we flip that and we say, great, we can go out there and we can be the controller of that inventory. We can build that predictable business, and we're not going to spend as much time and be as inefficient as we are if we're 100% buyer based, right? So, I mean, that's been the big thing for me, is starting to adopt well, what's my dollar per hour? What's the most efficient way to build a business? And like, what's going to get me excited to start work that day? And sometimes when you're getting beat down week after week, it's hard. It's hard. And that's what the buyer inventory is like right now.
I love that. So I'm going to go a little deeper on that, because you said a couple of things. I'm going to touch on the dollar per hour in just a second, and I want to hit home on that. But one of the things about listings is that listings work for you whether you're working or not, right? Like, and I know, Stephen, like, you being able to have an experiential life and travel and do those things is important to you, right? And you guys, that's that concept of controlling his time. Stephen, are you much more capable of taking those trips and stepping out of your business when you have listings out there working for you?
Yep, 100%. So if I'm in town, I might be going house to house, showing buyers, writing offers, kind of as I said before, right? And I'm working my butt off for that one deal, right? I'm spending more time, I'm a little bit more stressed, and if I'm lucky, I'm going to get one deal out of that, right? Versus the listing-based business where, hey, we don't have to be available on, an hour's notice. And so our efficiency changes there, right? And that one listing, which will get us that one deal, is going to bring in sign calls, internet leads, other opportunities to farm the neighborhood or reach out to our database, right? So there's so many things that we can do with that listing to generate more than one paycheck, right? And I think that's that's the big key here. And that's the thing that a lot of people miss, right? They get that one listing, they're super stoked, it sells super quick, and that's the end of it. They get that one opportunity. But there is so much more that you can do off of your listing opportunities. And that's how we build that big business. That's how we get all of the buyers that trickle through that we don't necessarily have to go out and work our butt off to search for.
I love that. So I'm going to break this down because some of you guys don't know it. And if some of you are still carrying some weight in your heart, like, why is it so important? I'm going to break down the average cost or what your time is worth and some of the key activities of your real estate business. Would this be helpful for you guys? So you can like really like internalize this. How much do you guys think you are worth when you are doing only the activities that a buyer's agent does, right? We are talking about you are lead generating, you are writing contract, and you are negotiating the transaction. How much do you guys think that you're worth? Anyone? There's no bad answers. You are in a completely safe place.
$500 an hour.
Kira, great. I would say for some of our masters, that might be true. But the truth is depending on how well you consult, how quickly you get them into home, and how good of a negotiator you are, that would be $100 to $500 range. Now, how much are you worth when you're showing the houses and opening doors? This is easy, guys. You could go pay somebody to open a door for you. How much do you pay them?
$25.
$25. Like you are worth $25 when you are opening a door, right? Now, let's go to the other side of this. How much are you worth when you are working in the realm of doing only things that a listing agent does, i.e. lead generating, taking the listing and negotiating? I'm not talking about making flyers here, right? Just the things that a listing agent can do. Throw it out there. Somebody give me a guess. My gosh, they're scared. Stephen, we scared them.
Yep.
Okay, I'll tell you. You're worth on average $1,000 to $2,000 an hour. Right? $1,000 to $2,000 an hour. And even more, like Stephen said, when we're working in the vein of $1,000 to $2,000, unlike the buyer's agent side, that every hour you spend there has the opportunity to win you more buyers and more sellers, right? Listings beget more listings. Awesome. Okay, so last question before we get tactical. And even in today's market, listing masters have had challenges finding and securing listings. What has been your mindset as you've approached that acquisition and that listing of properties in today's tight market?
I really want to get tactical as you asked that question, right? And so the mindset, without going tactical, is sellers have a problem. They've got a big problem on their hands, right? And the mindset is believing in your ability to help them solve that problem, right? So that's being well prepared to give people the options that are going to help them solve whatever it is they're trying to accomplish, right? And you know, the mindset of, you know, whether it's, hey, we're going to go up against 10 other listing agents in an interview, how can we get this? How do we stand out? It's really focusing on them. What do they want to accomplish and how do we help them get there, right? And so I think the mindset side, not going tactical yet, is the strong belief that you have the ability to get them from point A to point B in a really tough market to do that, right? Because that's what's going to get them to act and sell their home, right?
I love that. Stephen, you actually just jumped off the conversation we had, the mega agent mastermind just before this, right? Is being that professional problem solver and asking those questions. Is this a financial decision or is this a convenience decision, right? And being able to navigate them. So you segued really well. Let's get tactical. Let's talk, let's get down into it, right? Like we're sitting here today. I'm a great buyer's agent. I have 7 tactics that I have brought out, and Stephen, we're going to talk through them. So number 1 tactic on transitioning to a listing focused business, in my mind, is exactly what we just been talking about, and probably the biggest obstacle, right? Like this is your first domino, is change your mindset, right? And one of the biggest things from coaching and leading so many individuals is that when we launch and we're helping a lot of buyers, that's a very tangible reward, right? Like we feel like buyers need us and they love us and they get them into homes. And I have that gratification on key day, right? Like where we hand over that key. And sometimes we tend to feel that sellers don't need us as much. Stephen, is this something that you see also as we coach and lead other agents?
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's sort of that hands-off approach, like, oh, maybe we can do less, right? But again, really, we're in a time, and Chris tells us this all the time. Like, we have to be that economist of choice for our clients. We have to be the one to provide them that information, and really, they need our guidance and our opinion more than ever before, right? Like, we are paid in direct proportion to the opinion that we bring to the table and our guidance to help them, again, get from point A to point B. And so, yeah, again, it's great and all to give keys at closing time, but in reality, we have to be that sounding board to our listing clients. We have to give them our expert opinion. That's why we're in this business. That's what we're paid for as well.
I love that, right? You're paying direct proportion to the opinion you give. I'm going to level that up a bit. And I want you guys to walk away with this thought in your mind. Sometimes we feel like buyers need us more, but the truth is they don't, right? Sellers truly need our professionalism more. And let me explain why. When the seller hires you, they are hiring you to help them protect the largest asset that they have in their life and navigate through it. They clearly have more skin in the game and more at risk and need you as a professional even more. On the flip side, what skin does the buyer have in the game, right? What do they truly have at risk? Even their earnest money is protected if we navigate the transaction right. So when we truly look at what it is that we're representing them in protecting, a seller truly needs your professionalism more than just receiving keys at the end. You may be the difference in their financial future by guiding them through this process. The other mindset piece that we often run into is am I the right person when there are other people that have so much more experience than I do, right? And this is the message I want you guys to take away is you are the right person and nobody is going to take care of your client or fight for them harder than you will, right? And even if you don't have those years of experience, you are backed by coaches, by reviewing brokers, and by an entire market center that is standing by in collaboration, help, and support. Stephen, do you have anything to add to that?
No, it's exactly true. And I might be jumping ahead here, but again, I think the topic of this was how do we move from a buyer-based business to a listing-based business? And there's two sides to that. Number one, there's a lot of competition on listings right now, and there's a lot of cheap tricks that buyer's agents are pulling out in order to make their offer look stronger. And who better than an experienced buyer's agent or somebody that's buyer-based to say, yeah, I've seen this before. This is what they're trying to accomplish. This is what they're probably going to do 2 weeks down the line. And these are the strongest offers, and it may not necessarily be the highest offer, the one with the flashy terms, right? And so, I've seen it all in my life as a buyer's agent. And I think that's really helpful as I'm guiding my sellers on, hey, you've got 10, 15, 20 options. And like, these are the ones that have the most risk. And yeah, they might be a little bit flashier, but there's actually risk involved in the way that they wrote these provisions, right? And you're out there, scratching, clawing for your buyers, right? So you know what it takes. And you can really tell which one is going to be the stronger, safer, buyer that's going to get them to the closing table, which is the most important thing. That's a big deal to me, right? And so, that's how I'm presenting that as, hey, we're going to help you make the best decision. We do not want to risk a sale fail or picking the wrong buyer or whatever it is, right? The flip side of that is, I don't know what the stat is. I believe I've read somewhere it's 2/3 of the sellers out there need to go buy another home, right? Now, that could be totally made up, but I know a lot of the sellers I talk with, they've got to go buy something, right? Um, and who better than somebody who's worked with buyers to help them navigate that side? And you get paid twice to figure out that buyer problem because you're guaranteed to sell that listing in this market, right? So, I mean, that's the other big piece to this as a listing agent of somebody who needs to either move up, downsize, whatever it is. You're going to help navigate through an extremely tough buyer market with your buyer experience. And you're going to make it seamless by handling both sides of that transaction as well. That's a big value proposition that people that I've talked to that are more buyer based, they're totally missing the boat on communicating that to their clients.
I love that. So taking what you've already mastered, right, and leveraging that to help your seller negotiate based on your unique experience representing buyers at a high level. So we're going to move ahead. So some of these are pretty similar. Like you mentioned it already, right? First, we change our mindset, then we change our focus. Now, by changing our focus, guys, this is a very easy one, and that'll roll right into our next best practice. We need to stop looking for buyers and start looking for listings, right? And Stephen, you already hit hard on that, so we're not going to go deep in it. It's that mindset of you're showing up every day, not attracting, like we attract what we put into the world. And if you are out there looking for buyers, buyers is what you're going to get. If you are out there and focused on finding sellers, then listings is what you're going to get. And if you're surrounding yourself with others that also have that focus, you are going to see that those opportunities are abundant. So I'm going to jump right to the next one. Oh, go ahead.
My thing that I would add to that is, if you're out there looking for first-time home buyers, you get first-time home buyers. But if you're out there saying, I'm going to help you solve the problem on the move-up buyer, you're going to get sellers off of that, right? So there is a strategic way that we can go out and maybe we are advertising towards like who's looking to buy a move-up style home, and based off of that, there's going to be listing opportunities, right? And that's just it's just a slight change. Now, I'm not always going to say like, hey, I'm going to go out and I only want to find buyers, but it's what is the strategic way I can find sellers? And they're not really willing to just raise their hand. We have to get a little bit more creative to say, what do they want to accomplish? Where might I find them? What does that call to action and that message look like? And a lot of the time it's that move up buyer and they don't know how to do it, but they're very willing to just go and, window shop and take a look at things like that. And then we say, hey, we're going to help you solve your problem by doing X, Y, and Z. And that's where we come in and we can really make a big deal on that. So just something I wanted to add, because there's a lot of strategic ways that we can find those sellers. It may not necessarily be 100% seller-based language, but they show up if we're strategic about it.
I love that. And thank you for that, Stephen. That's awesome. And a great opportunity there, right? Because we're going to talk about opportunities and you just hit on a big one. So the next part of you changing your focus, you guys, is changing your scripts, right? And I cannot tell you what an immediate difference you will start to see show up in your world. Like Stephen said, it's just modifying the way that you're speaking about what you do as a professional, right? And the problem that you're trying to solve. I'm going to give you the easiest change to your scripting, your innate scripting right now, and then you can jump off that in the future. Now, there is a very common script that says, who do you know that would like to buy a home, buy, sell, or invest, right? Who's heard this script? We always say who makes your mind open up, but the script is specifically set up of who do you know that wants to buy, sell, or invest? Well, when we throw that out in the world, what shows up? Buyers, right? Because you led with buyers. So this is programming, you guys. So I would love for you to start making the immediate change in your script of who do you know that would like to sell a house, buy a home, or invest in real estate. Now I'm going to say it again. Who do you know that would like to sell a house, buy a home, or invest in real estate? You guys, this is neural programming, right? And what we say matters. So you say, I sell, who do you know? You start with sell, that's listing, sell a house, because we are detaching them emotionally from the property, right? Houses have less emotion involved in them. Buy a home, that's second, because that's our secondary goal. And we're infusing emotion because the word home makes us warm and fuzzy, right? Gets us moving towards that. And invest in real estate, because investors, you should have no emotion at all. Real estate removes the emotion part of it, because this is a financial decision. And by changing your script, you will have people show up better in each of those categories, stacked in the priority order that you are looking for them in your business. Stephen, what do you think about that simple script?
Yep, no, that's fantastic. And again, if you ever taken language of sales through maps, and I've done that a couple times, and the power that we have through the words and our body language and our tonality, and our mirror matching is all really important. And so again, is we just have to create way more intention than we have in the past in an ultra competitive market that we're in right now. And so that one absolutely helps. And I'm very careful in all of my templated emails and texts and all sorts of stuff. I'm always doing the same thing: the house, the home, and real estate, right? Like I'm always separating that based off of what that message looks like. And it just, it's the small things that help us be really more efficient, more effective.
Now, we want to make sure that you have the confidence to go out there and do it. So your next tactic is refine your skills. I'm going to go through a couple of things. Stephen, you've gone deep on them. Number one, master your local stats, right? Like we need to be that economist of choice. Number two, master the CMA, and not just evaluation of property. It's how do you articulate it, right? You might be a master of running those analytics, but are you delivering that in a way that your clients can best receive the information? And then master your contracts, right? Like what tools do we have? What verbiage can we use to solve those problems? Like Stephen says, right? Like now is a difficult time. How do we get them from here to there? What options do you have? And the last one is to be that professional problem solver, right? That calm in the storm. Any other things that you feel like refining this, get under refining skills, Stephen?
No, I think that's a big one, right? Like, and a lot of that's the scripts and dialogues that we have. So, we might go a little bit deeper on being that economist of choice. And it's not the message that there's no inventory out there. It's there's been a good amount of inventory, and guess what? It gets bought up and then some, right? And we're just changing the typical story of what they're reading, on the news or from friends or family or whatever it is. We have to add some meaning behind that, and that's something that they're not going to get. They're not going to get that on Zillow or whatever it is, right? Like that's where we become valuable to them, is by telling that story and going a little bit deeper on how that's going to benefit them.
I love it. So moving on to the next one, right? We've now refined our skills. Now we level up our value proposition, right? We need to revise our listing presentation and be able to articulate our value, right? Like what unique value are we bringing to guide them through the process? What are we doing specifically to help them navigate the market of the moment, right? Once again, if you don't have the stats to back you yet, leverage the stats of your market center and consult with other top producers on what is working right now. We work and live in a changing industry, and what the consumer needs and what the consumer expects and what is available to our clients is always changing. So we need to make sure that you're tapping in to those resources, right? And showing up in rooms like this, showing up in rooms of producers bigger than you, so that you can see what's working for people that are selling 5, 10, 15 homes a month. Stephen, anything to add in that value proposition?
No, I think that's huge, right? And I've touched on it a couple of times now. It's what value do we provide in helping them navigate multiple offers, which again, it's not going to be every property, but it's a lot of properties out there, right? And just making sure that you can clearly communicate that, and maybe you have some type of slide on your listing presentation that goes over that. And then the second thing is spending a lot of time on what do they want to accomplish by selling, where are they going, and how exactly are you going to make that as smooth and stress-free as possible in a tough market to do that, right? So majority of my conversations are more so around that. And when they have confidence that I'm going to be able to, that I'm the one that's going to help them accomplish that, that's when they hire me as their agent of choice, right? That's where they buy into what it is I'm selling. I'm not, again, I'm not huge on like, I'm the best agent out there. This is this and that and that. It's what do you want to accomplish? How can I change that script and help them solve that problem? But again, help them buy in to the fact that I have a solution for them.
I love that. So our last two tactics. So this is number 6. Make sure your attention matches your intention. And by that, does your calendar support your goals, right? We need to lead generate on a consistent basis for those listings. And we need to get purposeful about specifically our listing lead generation. Stephen gave us a great tactic, a great example of that, and in farming and getting in communication with move up buyers. That's a great example of a focused, intentional approach to go after listings. So I'm going to go into the next one because I think we're going to expand on that one. I think there's going to be a lot of questions, right? Once our calendar matches our intention, we need to master opportunities, right? The market is always shifting. We have to be looking for opportunities in every single market. And we need to be operating in not just the market we're in, but the market to come, right? And what I always say about this is there is no good market. There's no bad market. There is only the market. And the question is can you find the opportunities that exist in the market that we're in and the market to come? So we're going to open it up right now to some questions and conversations around this. And as you guys are putting those questions together, we're going to have a little conversation about, Stephen, where we're finding those opportunities. And I want to hear where you guys are finding those opportunities, right? Stephen gave us one in move up buyers, right? Automatic listing, automatic buyer. Where else are you guys finding opportunities and finding listings?
One thing I'll add, I would recommend that everybody, and if you're in this mastermind, you probably know what a 135 is by now, but you should have a 135 that, number one, goes over what are you going to do to create additional opportunities off of listings that you might have? What does that playbook look like? And whatever your other strategies might be, make sure that they're very clear and you know how you're executing on those daily, right? So one of my strategies, it might be move up buyers. What does that look like? What am I doing daily to create ads or to create messaging around that, right? And then whatever else we talk about here, we can start to add those onto our 135. But I would highly recommend everyone do one that's completely listing based. And again, we don't want to guess on what we're going to do for the day. We want to have that playbook in front of us, and then we just need to go and execute.
I love it. All right, if nobody has some listing opportunities, I'm gonna start throwing them at you, and that's as you guys rev up to get brave to like take yourself off mute and give us your best practices. Matt, go ahead. I see you raising your hand.
Yeah, sorry, I thought there was a raise hand button, but apparently not on our current meeting. But one of the things our team has done to really kind of focus on listings is farming. I mean, it is trying to get away from the buyer. And many of our team members are starting off with what they determine is a manageable farm. So whether or not that's 50, 100, or 500, it's up to the individual team member what they determine they can do for the long haul. So we have that conversation saying this is a long play. This is not something that's going to generate a listing tomorrow, but hopefully within the next 6 months to 2 years, you're going to start to see more and more listings coming in based off of your efforts. So with that being said, what is the size of farm that you feel comfortable with in tackling? And you have to commit to doing that with no results for a long time. And that's how we determine the number. But we're now having probably, I think there's about 6 people on the team that have some sort of farm now. So
that is such great advice, right? Like when you invest in a farm, we're looking 12 to 18 months out in the future.
minimum.
And if you don't have the financial capabilities, I see people do this all the time. They're like, I'm going to farm this 1,000 unit neighborhood. And they have not yet calculated what it costs to direct mail something to 1,000 people once a month for 18 months.
Correct. So it is, that is the first vital conversation is, this is the cost. How much are you comfortable with spending? It will generate results. It's almost a guarantee. So it's just a matter of, you have to stick with it long enough to get those results.
And Matt, can I give, for those of you who guys are approaching farming, some best practices, right? When you decide to, remember there are multiple different kinds of farms, right? There's geographic farms, there's psychographic farms, right? Like, so there are lots of different kinds of farming. So you may not be in a geographic area. You might be for people who love biking or like graduates of a certain like university, right? Like there are different ways to farm. So think outside the box. If you are doing geographic farming, a couple of tips. One, know what the average turn rate is in that farm. Like how often do these people sell, right? Stephen, like move up buyers are great. Like if you got houses with 1-car garages, they're gonna move faster than homes with 2 or 3-car garages, right? Because they get sick and tired of not being able to park. That's a little pro tip. Number 2, if you are going into a geographic area and you are new to that area, don't go after an area that already has an agent doing 30 to 35% of the sales in that area. You are fighting an uphill battle with a local expert as a newer agent. Maybe go after a farm where there is no set like local agent, right? Because that will be a longer game for you.
That's
Also,
great advice that Leslie's giving, but those are the ones that I like to target because I like to take them out.
Which is fine if you have the time and money to do so, right? Okay, so where else are we finding them, you guys? I have lots of opportunities. Before we go this way, I think some of you guys are thinking, gosh, how do we even find a listing with such low inventory? I want you guys, if you have been on any of our State of the Industries lately, if you've been on a lot of our masterminds, I want to take a moment to say, remember that low inventory does not mean a lack of listings. It merely means that the buyers are soaking them up at a faster rate, and in today's world, faster than we can list them. For example, in many of our areas, we saw a historic number of listings hit the market in the month of December. That number has gone up in many of our areas in January. So the conversation is somebody's getting the listings. The question is it you?
Why not you?
Why not you? I love that. Okay, so let's shotgun some listing opportunity ideas. Number 1, orphan neighborhoods. I didn't even make a list of this, so I'm just going to spitball this, Stephen. Orphan neighborhoods. What's an orphan neighborhood? Anybody know?
A neighborhood that does not have an agent that gets 20 to 30% of the listings.
Great. And specifically an orphan neighborhood is a newer construction neighborhood that is about 2 to 3 years old. And I would even say now like 1 to 3 years old, that most of the homes were sold by the builder. Right? Meaning they have homes to sell, but they may not have a relationship with an agent that can help them with the resale. specifically orphan neighborhoods with smaller footprints and smaller garages, is a hot opportunity, right? Especially during COVID, those are feeling a bit snug for families. Okay, I threw out one. Somebody else give me one before I go into anything else. Okay, you guys, we can say this all day. Your database, your database, your database, your database, right? Like, and remember, you already have love and trust with your database. Are you communicating that with your database in a way that says, hey, no matter what the media is saying, no matter what everything is happening on the world, I'm here, I'm professional, and I can help you solve your problems, right? Because I guarantee that every single one of us has people in our database that would move today if they knew that you could help them get from here to there.
And
I guarantee you have people in your database that would sell if you brought them an offer at the right price.
Yep. Easiest way to stay in front of database people is the neighborhood snapshot, right? And everyone should have that on every single person in their database, whether you know that they own a home or not. That is such a great way for them to go to you for information, right? And so I do it every 2 weeks, twice a month. That's what, 26 emails a year. But we want to make sure that, hey, if they see the house across the street went for sale, we don't want them going on Zillow or Redfin. We want them to get it from us. So every person in your database should be on some type of neighborhood snapshot through command. Or we might all have some super old leads that maybe they bought some other stuff, right? I would recommend going to truepeoplesearch.com, type in their phone number, it will give you their address, and then you put their address onto a neighborhood snapshot. That is a great way to eventually build some re-engagement with a ton of old leads that you might have trashed or thought were not going to work out. You'd be surprised.
I love it. How about this, you guys? For those of you who have been in business for a while, like Matt and Steven, I know that you have, John, like your wife has been in business forever. Who did you sell homes to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago that's still in their home that you think might be ready for a move up, right? And I guarantee, do you have a buyer today that would buy their home today? Have you called that client to say, hey, like, I know you may not have thought about selling, but I have a buyer that is looking for a house just like yours, right? Database, again, you guys, you have probably people in your database right now that are in pain, that may have struggled over the last year to make their payment, that might be struggling right now. They aren't going to raise their hand necessarily because that's a painful thing. So communicating with them that right now you are professional and have resources and can help guide them through the process might be the best thing that you can do for them, right? That there's no reason to go into default and lose the equity in their home. Right? So those are a couple of ways to do that, you guys. It's 9:46. I gave you guys from 9 to 9:45. Is there any other questions? I know if I have no offense if somebody wants to jump off the line. Is there any other questions that are rattling around that we didn't cover today that we'd be remiss if we didn't at least get out on the tables that we can answer for you guys?
I know Matt had one in the chat that we haven't answered yet. And, Matt, my strategy around that is I want to provide as much information in the private notes as possible. So we want to talk about occupancy, if we've set a deadline, all sorts of stuff to sort of knock off those generic calls that are just asking 1 or 2 questions, right? But I also, I treat it as a lead generation time block, right? Like, I'm going to follow up with people during a certain time. Being a buyer's agent and being the person who is, gotten rejected so many times. And I know how frustrating that is. And, I always make it a point to not be that agent, that listing agent, right? But I can't be on the phone all day, every day. I have to be a little bit more structured around that. And I will always get back to somebody. What I don't want is that one-off question where there's not really any value. They weren't going to make an offer anyway. And so I just do my best to provide as much info in RMLS to curb that. And everyone that has seriously expressed interest, I'm going to personally follow up with all of them, have those deep conversations, and ensure that we can get them to write an offer in benefit of the seller.
Yeah, it's I do those things too, but I mean, lately you literally put it active, and within 2 minutes you're getting texts, phone calls, nonstop emails. And I appreciate it because those buyers agents are trying to establish the rapport,
No.
and they really want to do that connection to try to best, get their client's offer put in. But man, it is nonstop. I've gone to silent, and I don't answer anymore. I do return calls, but I don't blindly answer the phone anymore. It's too much when the listings are on the market.
No,
Um,
it's true.
I think just having a
I'm the king of
system.
returning calls or
Yeah.
text.
Having that system in place, right? Like, in those of you who go after listings, you will have to think about that, right? Like, what does it look like when we get bombarded? How do we handle that, right? Like, it doesn't mean that we need to respond to everybody within seconds of them texting us, right? Make sure you fill out the listing information accurately and like Stephen said, like as completely as possible. They ask you a question that's on the RMLS, then just say, read the RMLS, right? Like, that's, I know it seems crazy, but sometimes you have to tell people the obvious. But remember this, you guys, doing a great job with taking a listing, representing a seller, marketing and advertising it correctly, and then leveraging it by telling that story, by putting the signs up, by communicating with the neighborhood, by continuing to have that presence. Like, don't just put a sign in the yard and expect that listing to get you more listings. Use your listing to leverage yourself as a professional listing agent. And that is one of the best ways to get more listings. And there's nothing better than getting multiple listings on the same street in quick succession. All right, you guys, that's all we have for today. You will join us. Hopefully I'll see you all back next month for this mastermind. Information will go out with our speaker and our topic. Hopefully you got value out of today. Hopefully I will see you all at Family Reunion next week, and have a powerful day. And a huge thank you, Stephen, for joining us today and sharing all your tips and tricks.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.